Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. My name is Tanmay Khambete, and I'm a psychological counselor here at Q for the institute at SB Road, Model Colony, and Khadki. We'll begin in just a couple of more minutes, and thank you so much for joining in earlier. Also, I have with me Yoshita. We'll be introducing ourselves a little more formally later. I just want to say that thank you, Yoshita, for joining in with me and helping me out with the YouTube and everything else. Yeah, so we'll begin in a few minutes. Um, all right, Yoshita, can we start? Are we good to go?
Hi, Tanmay. Yeah. If you
Awesome.
want, you could wait for a minute more and then begin.
All right, so let's wait for maybe another minute or so and then we'll begin.
Okay.
Okay, so we are already at the 3 minute, 3 hour mark. So let's begin. Welcome everyone to our seventh Mindfulness Circle. My name is Tanmay Khambete, and I'm going to be your facilitator for today. With me, as I mentioned, I have Yoshita Thadani, who is a very, very dear friend and a colleague of mine. We are both counselors here at the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing. Yoshita is the counselor for the Viman Nagar new campus, while I'm the campus counselor for the SB Road, Model Colony, and Khadki campuses. She has facilitated a couple of mindfulness sessions right at the beginning. So if you are with us since the start, you may know her, you may recognize her. As I mentioned, she's going to be my moderator for today, which means that any comments, questions, queries that you may have that you will put up on the YouTube chat. She's going to list them down and she's going to let me know what they are. She will also keep an eye on anything else, any suggestions that you may have for the mindfulness circles as well. Um, so let's begin with our topic for today. Today we are going to be talking about mindful eating, right? As you may have seen from the poster, those wonderful, beautiful strawberries. We are so engrossed in our daily life and our activities, our work. We juggle multiple responsibilities every day. That we don't really pay attention to the one thing that gives us energy to go through our day. We don't really pay attention to the thing that gives us the, energy to do the things that we regularly do, which is the food that we eat. Our breakfast is, usually always in a hurry. We want to make sure we check in, we log in on time, we do our biometric on time. We want to make sure that we are caught up with the news. So we either are on our phones scrolling the news while we're having breakfast. Sometimes lunch is, squeezed in between meetings, or sometimes is skipped, or we kind of watch TV and we're eating. Dinner sometimes also is not, with the family, and if it is with the family, we are busy learning about each other's day. We're busy talking to each other, which kind of takes away from the process of eating. It takes away from the experience of eating mindfully, and so all of that work can come in between, other commitments come in between, and so sometimes food is skipped, which does cause additional stress. It leads to also various health issues, overeating, digestion, right, binge eating. And for those of us who like to watch something while we are eating, we don't know कि हम कितना खा रहे हैं, क्योंकि नेटफ्लिक्स पे सीरीज देखते देखते अगर हम खा रहे हैं तो हमारा ध्यान नेटफ्लिक्स पे रहता है, not on the food. All of this and the stress that we are facing kind of culminates together, and it affects not only our physical health in terms of overeating, binge eating, but also our emotional health. Mindful eating engages all of our senses, our touch, our taste, our smell, the texture, and it allows us to be more present with the food that we are eating. It allows us to focus on our internal cues of feeling full, of feeling hungry, or of feeling satiated. Which means that we are now in control of the food versus the food controlling us. Um, and we're also aware of how the food is nourishing our bodies. With mindful eating, what we do is we focus on the experience of eating the food. We focus on being in the moment with the food, and we are fully present for the experience. So not only are we able to savor the food more, but we're also able to select foods that have more health benefits. कि अगर आप माइंडफुली खा रहे हो तो आप ऐसे ही खाना चूज करोगे जो सेहत के लिए अच्छा होगा as compared to a bag of chips, right? Right. So let's experience what mindfulness eating is, and let's learn how to be familiar with the various textures, the smells, the um, tastes of the food that we always usually eat. Before we begin this exercise, however, I want you to bring the item that you are going to eat in front of you. आपने पोस्टर में भी पढ़ा होगा कि आप रेजिन, चॉकलेट या नट या कुछ और ले सकते हो फॉर दिस एक्सरसाइज. तो मेरे पास अभी दिवाली का कुछ है, बर्फी है, तो आई एम गोइंग टू टेक दैट and I'm going to put it in the dish in front of me. So that's just take a couple of minutes to get your food and put it in front of you. Whenever you are ready, just let me know, put it in the chat box, and we can move ahead from there. All right. So now let's get back to where we were. Let's first start with sitting in a comfortable position, depending where you are on currently. अगर आप घर पे हो तो आप जमीन पे बैठ सकते हो या कुर्सी पे बैठ सकते हो, विच एवर पोजिशन इज द मोस्ट कंफर्टेबल. मेक श्योर कि योर बैक इज सपोर्टेड, कि अगर आप चेयर पे बैठ रहे हो तो आपका बैक पे सपोर्ट होना चाहिए, बैक रेस्ट होनी चाहिए. अगर आप जमीन पे बैठ रहे हो तो आप एक कुशन ले सकते हो टू सपोर्ट योर बैक. इफ यू आर इन द ऑफिस लाइक आई एम, you can sit on the chair in your office and with your back and your shoulders relaxed, and preferably your feet touching the floor. It is important that we find a posture that is most comforting because ये exercise करने में थोड़ा सा time लगेगा. आपके senses, आपका concentration खाने पे होना चाहिए. So the position that you're sitting in is important. So wherever you are sitting, घर पे, office पे, wherever, make sure you take a few seconds and find a place that's comfortable for you. Are we ready? Excellent. Um, Great. So before we start with the eating mindfulness, as with all of our mindfulness circles, let's first, slow down our body, slow down ourselves. We are always running from one thing, one meeting, one lecture, one task assignment to the other. So let's take a few seconds and let's come to the present. Let's pause. Let's slow down. And let's focus on our internal systems, right? How we're feeling, how our breathing is like, and allow us to be more grounded in where we are. So what we can do is we'll do a quick breathing exercise. And if you want to keep your eyes closed, that's great. लेकिन अगर आप आंखें बंद करके comfortable नहीं है, तो you can keep your eyes open और एक दूर के point पे just focus, right? So let's do that. Make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position and we'll do breathing exercise. So deep breath in and exhale. एक और बार deep breath in and exhale. एक और बार deep breath in and exhale. Now, keeping your eyes closed, tune inwards into the sensations and awareness that you have in your body of feeling full or feeling hungry or thirsty. लंच टाइम होने के बाद कुछ घंटे हो चुके हैं, और आपको शायद भूख लगी हो, आपको शायद थोड़ी सी कुछ तो चटपटा खाने का मन कर रहा हो, या फिर प्यास लगी हो, या फिर कॉफी का टाइम हो रहा हो, कॉफी चाय का टाइम हो रहा हो. So let's just observe these feelings, your internal sensations. अगर आपको भूख लग रही है, तो what are you feeling hungry for? If you're feeling full, कि आपका पेट भर गया है, बहुत अच्छा लंच हुआ है सैटरडे का, what is the sensation of feeling full, right? So pay attention to these internal systems in your body telling you these sensations. What are the signals that they are giving you? Let's take a few seconds, keeping your eyes closed, and just tune inwards into your body. Great. So now open your eyes और आपने जो खाने का item choose किया होगा, I want you to pick it up and hold it in between your thumb and your index finger, like so, right? Bring your attention to it. See it as if it was a new item to you, right? Something you have not seen before. Observe the shape, the color, the size, the texture, right? Simply look at it with curiosity without allowing for any judgment or experience or past knowledge of the food item to come in the way. Let your eyes fully examine how this food item is looking like. Are you noticing anything as you feel it? Are you noticing anything new in the texture? Are you noticing a change in the food as you are even, looking at it? If you are noticing that you want to eat the food, there's this urge to just, you know, eat it, that's still fine. That's still expected and that's okay. Acknowledge those feelings, allow them to be there, and then once you're aware that your mind is going in that direction, bring it back to the item that's in your hand, right? So just look, see all the textures in it, see how it is feeling in between your fingers. Now hold it, but move the food in between your fingers, right? Really experiencing the texture of the food. Um, See if it is soft or is it a hard piece of nut, let's say. Is it cold? Is it warm? What's the temperature like? Is it smooth or is it rough? Right? Notice if it has any stickiness. If you have a piece of chocolate, maybe it's melting as you hold it and as you play around with it, right? Um, and you may want to lick your fingers because the mess is not nice. It's okay. Allow for those feelings to stay, but just focus your attention on how even that is making you feel, right? Allow yourself to feel the disgust that could come in. Um, and then bring yourself back to being curious about the food. So this burfi in my hand right now is rough, right? It feels colder than my skin. It started to disintegrate a little bit on my hands as well as I'm feeling the piece of food. I'm able to see the color of it. I'm able to see that at some places it's smooth, sometimes it's rough, right? It's jagged around the edges. And doing this is a practice, right? पहली बार में शायद आपको fully समझ में नहीं आए कि how are we supposed to feel the texture or how are we supposed to observe this, right? But it's a practice. It comes with time, right? And it may take us a while to truly understand how to do this. And that's the start of learning how to be non-judgmental, how to be accepting, right? How to also be very intentional with the food that we are eating, and to be able to trust our experience, to be able to trust our judgment of how we are looking at this piece of food. At this point, if you want to close your eyes and feel the food, then that's okay too. Sometimes closing your eyes will allow for your senses to heighten, and that's perfectly fine as well. If you find yourself drifting off, bring yourself back into the present. Allow your sense of touch to guide your thoughts. Right. Now, as you have that piece of food in front of you, I want you to take the food and smell it with your full awareness. What does it smell like to you when you naturally inhale? Is there any specific aroma that you're able to identify? Does it smell sweet? Does it smell tart? Does it smell spicy? Right? Um, is that bringing up any specific memories for you? Be aware as you're even smelling the food that that it has an effect on your physiological body as well. It's going to bring up maybe more hunger. You're going to start feeling your stomach growling because you want to eat it, right? Because your senses have now been enhanced. um, Maybe you're salivating because you're anticipating that you want to eat it, right? So pay attention to all of these physiological changes that are also happening as you explore this piece of food, as you are more in tune with your senses um, for this food. Right now, as you finish smelling the food and sensing the food with your hands, now slowly bring it closer to your lips. Now be aware of how your hands are bringing the food to your mouth, right? As you think that you want to eat it, your hands will automatically go near your lips. Right? Now place the food inside of your mouth, and without chewing or swallowing, just let it stay on your tongue, right? Notice the flavors, the temperature of the food, right? Um, Notice the texture. Has the texture changed from when it was in your hand to now when it's in your when you're eating it? See how it feels inside your cheek, your teeth, your tongue, and see if you're able to experience anything different than otherwise. Be aware of the changes that you're experiencing. Be aware of the various textural changes that the food is going through as you are now eating the food. Now, bite into the food, right? Chew it. Allow yourself to notice whether it's tough or is it soft? Is it a soft bite? Feel the flavor of the food coming in now. Feel the texture. Does it disintegrate in your mouth? Is it crumbly? Is it hard? Is it silky? Is it smooth? And as you are chewing, notice the various body parts that are involved in chewing: your teeth, your tongue, your jaw, right? Notice how your jaw is moving as you chew, and the more you chew, the texture of the food changes. Allow yourself some time to just chew and notice how the food has changed from it being in your fingers, in between your fingers, on your tongue, and now as you are chewing it. Continue to breathe as you explore these sensations. In our daily lives, we don't really pay attention to these various flavors, textures of the food, and how they change. We actually eat without attuning our senses to the food and how the food also changes as we continue eating, right? Um, that does not allow us to enjoy the food completely and be in the moment. At this point, I would urge you to notice how you are understanding the change in taste and whether your body is responding differently or not. Whether now, because you're eating the food, you're more hungry, or are you feeling satiated, right? Are you feeling your saliva coming in because you are now in the process of eating? When you're ready, swallow the food item and observe the path it takes, that it follows from your mouth to the throat to your stomach. Are you able to identify it traveling within you? As you also finish swallowing, notice what remains on your tongue and in your mouth after you have eaten the piece of food. Do you have an aftertaste? Right? Is the texture maybe different? Has the intensity of the taste changed? Has the intensity of the flavor of the food that you're eating, has that changed? Has your response to the new food changed from the start till now, right? If it's a piece of chocolate or if you are eating a raisin or a piece of nut, which you may have eaten before a lot of times, like in Abhi, after doing this very gradual, very intentional eating of the piece of food, has your attitude towards it changed? Right now, if you have to do a quick scan in your body, how are you feeling? So before we come to the end of our mindful eating exercise, let's really take a moment and think about the various steps that were taken in getting this food to you, right? the various elements that were involved in bringing this food to you so you are able to consume it. Um, Natural resources, the sun, water, soil, that takes for the plant to grow, for the grape vine to grow. The people who are involved in the cultivation and preparation of the food, um, the journey of the food from the start into your hands, right? Let's take a quick minute to bring in that gratitude, bring in that spiritual blessing to the food that you have eaten, and thank those who have made this possible. Inherently, also thanking your body for allowing it to nourish you, for allowing the food to nourish your body. Once, now if you're done eating, you can open your eyes if you have closed them, and you can come back to the present moment, right? Let's take a few seconds to orient ourselves to where we are, look around us, and ground us a little again. We have been so involved and focused on one particular food item, right? That sometimes it just takes us away from where we are. So let's take a few minutes to look around, see where we are, remind ourselves of the surroundings, and let's come back to the present. Great. With this, we have come to the end of the mindfulness eating exercise. Um, I want to hear from all of you, and let's take a few seconds to quickly do a check in and reflect on the mindfulness activity we did, right? I want to hear what your experience was about this whole exercise and how this activity was for you, whether you were more aware, more present while eating, and how has your eating experience otherwise been different from this. So please do put it in the chat. I'm very curious to know. And also remember that these this mindfulness exercises, eating mindfulness exercise can be done as you are having your breakfast, lunch, or snacks. It doesn't have to be a whole meal. Sometimes it can be a spoonful of whatever you're eating, but that spoonful will be eaten mindfully, right? The goal is to eat whatever you're eating with your full attention, with full awareness and full consciousness, and also full intention. Being mindful about food is not only what you are eating, it starts with the kind of food you choose, which means that when you do practice mindfulness eating, you're more inclined to choose foods that are healthier, um, rather than a packet of chips because you're eating mindlessly. It will allow us to stop, and take a moment and notice what we are feeling as we feel hungry. Because कभी कभार ऐसा होता है कि हम बोर हो रहे होते हैं इसलिए we eat, right? So we have to realize that physiological hunger is different from eating when we are bored, and so mindfulness eating will allow us to make that distinction. It will also give us this understanding of what we are feeling as we are feeling hungry, and at what point do our bodies tell us कि अब बस हो गया, अब पेट भर गया है. And then that's the point of satiation. Paying attention to the various smells, texture, temperature, taste will allow to fully enjoy with the experience, and also checking your body as you feel full. So overeating nahi hota. Another benefit of mindful eating is to be able to be in the present, to ground yourselves and slow down, because in our daily lives we are so much in this hustle bustle of one thing to the next. We are constantly running from one thing to the other, and we don't really take a couple of minutes in the day to kind of slow down, look around, right? So mindfulness eating will allow you to take that pause, allow you to take the break, and slow down just a little bit. I'm going to go back to the chats and see Right. So, what is the objective of this exercise? This exercise is only limited to eating, or can this be applied to any other activity? So, mindfulness eating, because that was our topic for today, it is more or less centered around eating. However, mindfulness activity can be done with anything. There is mindful walking, there is mindful being in the present, there is breathing. There are a lot of other activities where we can apply mindfulness techniques. It's essentially slowing down, right? It's essentially being aware of what you are doing, like focusing all your attention on the thing that you are doing and not allowing yourself to be distracted. Right. So the motto of this exercise is again to be able to focus your full attention into what you are eating, right? To be able to trust your own judgment, your instincts, and feel all of the different kinds of textures, foods, smells of the food that you're eating, essentially allowing you to um, come back into the present, focus your attention on one thing at a time. Any other feedback, any other comments, anything else that you want to share? If you have done this exercise, or if you were just listening to me walk you through this exercise, maybe you can try it by yourself later on. You can definitely experiment with different kinds of foods, right? So, chocolate has a different texture, smell, taste as compared to a grape, or as compared to a nut, or as compared to a basin color too. So, try doing it with different kinds of foods that will allow you to really polish each sense, right? Like it'll uh, make you more attuned to your sense of smell, to your sense of touch, to your sense of sight. So try doing this with different kinds of food and see how that mindfulness eating is allowing you to focus your attention more, or be more careful about the things that you choose to eat. Ultimately, we do this because we want to nourish our bodies with the best possible nutrient source. And so when you do eat mindfully, your body is also taking the full benefit of the healthy foods that you're eating. I hope this exercise was helpful, and you've been able to recognize at least a little bit what the importance of eating mindfully is. So, like I said, do practice this as often as you can. The more you practice, the better you get at it, and then it just becomes like a muscle memory, or almost becomes automatic, right? Right. We'd love to hear your feedback with this. Thank you so much for joining in. Stay safe, and we will see you for our next session soon.